Ravenswood City School District Governing Board meeting of March 25th. I will officially open the meeting at 6:32 p.m. and I will take roll call. Vice President Shabomahin.
Here.
Trustee Alexander.
Here.
Trustee Polito.
Present.
Trustee Bloom.
Here.
I myself am present. Quorum is present. We will move on to item 2, which is the approval of the agenda. Before I open the floor, I would like to make an adjustment to item 8A and 8B. I would like to adjust the order. So we would actually go to 8B first, which is the consideration to approve reopening schools district-wide. And then 8A consideration to approve proposals to bring additional classes back to campus. 8A will go second. Do we have any other changes? Yes.
Yes, we do have it. Go ahead, Tony.
Through the chair, we would like to table item 9A.
9A is the consideration to approve resolution. Okay.
That's correct, yes.
Do we have any other additions or subtractions? Hear none, see none. I will open the floor to approve the agenda with the change of item 8A and 8B and tabling 9A.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shabomahin,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We'll be moving on to item 3, which is closed session. Before we go into closed session, I will open the floor if there's any comments or people who would like to speak on any of the items in closed session. Now would be the time. I see none. So at 6:35, we will go into closed session. See you all later. Welcome back, everyone. We will resume open session at 7:15. For the closed item sessions, for item 3A, there is no discussion. For 3B, there was discussion and action taken. And for item 4, there was discussion. So now we will move on to item 6, which is from the floor. So if you wish to speak on any matters that aren't on the agenda, you may do so now. So you may use the raise hand function, and we will give you 2 minutes to speak. I see no hands, so we will move on to item 7, which is the consent agenda. I will open the floor.
Through the chair, I'd like to approve the consent agenda.
Thank
I'd like to
you.
make a motion to approve the consent agenda, sorry.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't mean to disrupt, but I don't think I was present for one of the consent items. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. You can take roll call. My mistake.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomahi,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. I would also like to highlight at this time that translation is available. So if you see the interpretation button, we welcome you to use it if you need to, and also that these meetings are recorded. So we will move on to agenda item.
President, can we say that in Spanish?
Yes, please.
If the translator's not here, I'll try. I'll say, buenas tardes a todos. Si quisiera estar esta junta en español, puede oprimir el icono de interpretación abajo de su pantalla y puede escuchar esta junta en español. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Trustee Polito. We will move on to item 8. As you all know, we had changed the order of the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. So we will start with item 8B, which is the consideration to approve reopening school district-wide for all students.
Are you entertaining a motion, or is there a presentation that's going with this?
Yes, I'm getting situated here. Great. So yes, there are 2 items under the superintendent, item 8B, which is now 8A, and 8A, which is now 8B. And so we would like for us to look at the consideration to approve reopening of school district-wide for all students per the direction of the board during our 2-hour study session. Just 2 evenings ago, we are preparing to reopen school district-wide for all students. We are simply placing the proposal before the board for formal approval, given the context and direction received Tuesday evening. So that you know where I stand as a superintendent, I do recommend that the board approve the reopening of school district-wide. You can see here our proposal that includes that we want to make sure we offer every student the option to return to campus, maintain safety precautions, practices in our COVID safety plan, use models aligned with scenarios 3 and 4 that we shared during the study session on Tuesday. We want to phase in our classes starting April 12th through May 5th. And then we want to allow families to choose to stay in distance learning for the rest of the school year. This is a hard ask because there are logistics that we have to work through. But Ravenswood does hard things for the best interest of our students. And I wouldn't ask our staff to do anything I would not do. And as much as I want to be flanked with everyone in agreement, 100%, arm in arm, one step at a time. I shared this with another leadership team at a school site earlier this morning. It is my job as a leader of the district to make the best decision for all of our students. And it's important that we provide in-person instruction for those students of families who would like to return to school. And so although we don't have each other flanked right now, we're not flanked 100%, I'm willing and committed to standing in front of our team to pull us through this challenge. And so I ask the board to please approve us to reopen school district-wide.
So I will open the floor for discussion. For this, just going forward, I'll take public comment first and then I'll come back to the board.
What? I feel like we had this discussion on Tuesday, so I don't know if anybody has anything else to add, but if not, we can hear from, I would suggest hearing from the public since we already had a 2-hour meeting on this topic.
Through the chair, we have one speaker.
Thank you.
And Ms. White, you are promoted to panelist. Are you a teacher or a RTA right now, or a parent or RTA?
Parent, please. Yes, I am both. But right now, not right now. I can't do both at the same time. Sorry, having a discussion with the little one. Good evening, board, superintendent, families, friends. I'm speaking. My name is Rhonda White Bluford. I have the privilege of having 2 students who attend schools in Ravenswood, one in 4th grade at Los Robles, Ronald McNair, and the other in 8th grade in distance learning. Today, I come to you speaking about my 8th grader who's in distance learning at CCRMS, its full rightful name. So I just want to take the time to thank the superintendent for being open and wanting to make sure that all students have equal access to what they need. Today, I am here as a parent talking about my needs for my child, who I have jurisdiction over. So we went from crisis learning in the spring. We quickly shifted to remote learning. And I like to thank my child's 6 teachers who have done the best with a difficult situation. Miss Sullivan, who takes care of math and algebra, Miss Maestra Reina, who does social studies and ELA, Senor Cardenas, who's doing dual immersion, a little bit difficult, second language through a screen, Miss Ellis, music, new for us, Miss Fuentes, PE, and Miss Collier, who is the robotics teacher, who's taken a group of students to state for the first time. If you haven't checked this out, check this out. So I just want to say, as I am excited for everyone to have an opportunity to learn, I also want to make sure that as we are moving forward, if the board decides to agree to reopen schools, that those students who are doing well in distance learning, and yes, distance learning is not the best situation. However, 85% of the time, my child is on task and doing what he needs to do. He is a 13-year-old 8th grader. Let's remember that. And so I want to make sure that whatever learning he has successfully done up until this point, that he continues to have that same consideration and that same level of rigor and intensity with being able to have 6 classes. So I am hoping that as we move forward, whatever the plan is, that it is taken into consideration that middle school is very different with the vast numbers of teachers. And my child is one of the childs who is successfully doing well with distance learning, and I attribute that to his teachers. So thank you. So I'm hoping whatever the decision is made, the disruption is not made to mess up his learning for the remaining 6 to 8 weeks of school.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Thank you.
We have one more speaker. That's Miss Sullivan. And Miss Sullivan, I have promoted you to panelist.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So my name is Nicole Sullivan. I'm an 8th grade teacher at CCRMS, been in the district for 9 years. I'm speaking for the middle school perspective. For the record, I am excited to go back to school in August. Very excited to start a new school year with my new students next year. Distance learning was definitely tough to begin with, but we've made a lot of strides. Our 8th graders have risen a grade 1.3 level in reading. So they have risen more than 1 grade level in reading from distance learning. There's a lot of students that had low GPAs before distance learning in 6th and 7th grade. They have honor roll now. Some students are thriving in distance learning. I'm not saying it's working for everybody, but there are a lot of pros to distance learning. And while I am excited for August, my concerns with coming back now are that it's not planned out enough. Again, speaking only for the middle school level. If people are volunteering to come back, totally fine, because they've been thinking through the procedures and whatnot. But if we force everyone to come back, students and teachers, I mean, have we really thought about the logistics? If a student decides to take their mask off once, what happens? Twice, what happens? Where do they go if they refuse to have their mask on? I mean, there's so many little details that we just haven't had the time to think through. And also, when we first come back, if we come back in April, the middle of April, we'll have a couple of weeks of learning the rules and procedures and protocols. Then there's 3 weeks of state testing, ELA, math, and science for 5th and 8th grade. Then we have another week of testing for our Let's Go Learn end of year data. And then after that, there's only about 2 weeks left of school. And then what? I mean, I just don't see the point in coming back now for this school year when we're going to lose so much academic time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan.
Through the chair, we have one more speaker, Ms. Sabragia. I am promoting you now.
Thank you. And just a reminder to the public, anyone can speak at this time. You can use the raise hand function and you will be granted 2 minutes to speak.
Hello, I don't expect to let my child return this year, and I appreciate the option of probably keeping him home. I have a 4th grader at Bellhaven. And I want to shadow exactly everything Ms. Sullivan said, especially in regards to state testing. I think that it's rushed. I think that it's a waste of time with such a short amount of time left. But my biggest thing is I really don't want teachers to be switched. My son's teacher right now is offering to come back. And if his teacher comes back, I don't want him to lose his teacher if he has to stay home. I almost feel like it's putting me in a situation where I'm being forced to let him go back to school just so I can let him keep his amazing teacher who I've seen do amazing work this year. So I just, please don't switch teachers at all. That's my biggest ask at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no more public comment. I see Ms. White. Ms. White, will you be speaking on behalf of RTA?
I have just promoted you to panelist, Ms. White.
Hi, everyone. Rhonda White, RTA president, switching hats completely. So I just want to say, as the board gets ready to make their decision on whether or not they're going to reopen schools, Superintendent Sudarius said it best. No matter what the outcome is, our teachers in Ravenswood will rise to the occasion, always have, always will, and will do more than just the minimum. So there's just a couple things I want to bring to our attention. I'm going to try to be way under 5 minutes, Polita, just for you. So one, I just want to make sure that we are clear. Even though San Mateo County is in the red and very close to being orange, Ravenswood is still in purple. And we are very praying and hopeful that very soon we will fall out and be into red. We are also thankful for the opportunities for being moved to the front of the line. Superintendent Sudaria pushed for that so that those teachers who were able to and willing to take the vaccine shot were able to get that. A couple concerns the RTA has. We keep fluctuating between 3 feet and 6 feet. The state is saying 3 feet, the county is saying 6 feet. I think they're thinking about possibly getting and moving that down, but I'd like for us to consider staying at 6 feet as much as possible in order to keep things safe and consistent and people more comfortable. There was a study that was shared with us on Tuesday at the study session about Massachusetts. Just want to share a few things with you. Does not differentiate data on communities with high spread or districts that have used COVID testing, as well as Massachusetts is in the top 10 of funding for their students and states in public education, as well as their class size maximum is 18, and typically it runs only 14 to 16 students. So I want to make sure we're aware of that. Something else I want us to continue to look into is ventilation. And the reason I want us to think about ventilation, as everyone knows, we feed our kids daily, which means there will be a period of time where students will need to be in class with their mask off in order to eat. So we need to be mindful of, is there one door, is there two doors, and how many windows open? I think the other thing I want to leave us with is, as the board makes this decision and we are to reopen, if we require teachers to come back, I am hoping that we will first use those teachers who have volunteered the phase in as the proposal that has been put before you. And then if there is a grade level where there is a need because families are coming back, that teachers be allowed to have a discussion in the grade level to make that possible and make that decision, whether that's distance learning, whether that's in person, but they make that decision so that we can come together. So I'm not hopeful. I'm praying, and I know Ravenswood teachers and staff will continue to do what they do for the kids and the families of Ravenswood, because we care about them, we love them, we support them. It's also our job, but this is not just a job to us. It is a passion, it is a way of life, and our kids deserve the best education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Through the chair.
Superintendent Sudaria?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify, the county is in the orange tier, and they're actually trending to be in the yellow tier in a couple of weeks. East Palo Alto's positivity rate right now is 1.9%. That would put them in yellow. And that East Palo Alto currently is in light purple based on the number of cases per 100,000. So we're around 12 point something. I can't remember off the top of my head. It is in the deck that can show us later. If we reach 10 per 100,000, that puts us in the red. So again, I just want to clarify that the trend in terms of the conditions in East Palo Alto, because of the testing that the city has put in place, the vaccines, and folks being more mindful of just being safe around how to follow the guidelines, wearing a mask and what have you, it's imperative, it's improved tremendously. I also appreciate the sentiments that Rhonda, the president of RTA, has shared in regards to what we have always done, which is always rise to the occasion and push through. And I believe that we will be able to push through together. We want to make sure we know the number of students so we know how many teachers to bring on board. We're not requiring everyone to drop what they're doing, stop distance learning, and then do in-person instruction. We have many families, as a parent mentioned, Mr. Baja requests remote learning. We sent out a survey. After approval, we'll send out a survey in paper, letter, parent square, QR code, bit.ly, to ask, do you want to remain with distance learning? Because we know many families, 40% of our families who have responded to the survey want to do remote learning. Additionally, in terms of changing homerooms or not changing homerooms, we want to follow the guidelines under scenario 3 and scenario 4 per the direction that the board gave us. Scenario 3 is there might be a teacher that wants to hold on to both of the remote learners and the in-person instruction, the Zoomies and the Roomies at the same time, and do a flex model, or hold on to their homeroom and do AM, PM, and AM instruction in the morning, and then synchronous learning in the afternoon with all of their students. Or there might be a grade level at a site that wants to do scenario 4, where the grade level determines based on the number of students, I want to come in person, or I am able to stay in remote learning. And if that can't be decided, then administration will need to direct staff to move forward and step up into either of those roles. But we're prepared to, we want to be prepared to address the needs of the families who want to come back in person. It doesn't mean that we're going to require all teachers. When we reopen school, we have the flexibility to respond to the needs of students because we can ask our teachers to come back. So I just wanted to make that very clear.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. You brought up some really great points, especially with the teachers' retention. So the teacher number is contingent to the population that wants to return, correct? We're not going to force every single teacher. It's going to be specific to the number. So for instance, CCRMS has 348 students. This is the data that was presented on Tuesday. So that is depending on the number of teachers that are going to come back for CCRMS.
Depending on how many of those families want to come back will determine how we plan for those teachers to come back. And to Rhonda White's point, we want to do minimal disruption, but we must disrupt what's happening now, because though there are some grades that are better and performing, we also have a high chronic absenteeism. We have a high percentage of chronic absenteeism in our middle school, and about 20%. I think this is off the top of my head, and Cindy, thank you. If you can jump in with some numbers specifically.
I actually just wanted to make a slight correction. CCRMS has close to 600 students.
The number was in reflection of the survey data.
Oh, okay. But then, yes, in terms of chronic absenteeism, our across the district, it's around 33% are chronically absent, and that is lower in the elementary school, and then considerably higher in our middle school.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Trustee Polito?
Superintendent Sadaria, can you either reaffirm or clarify the intentional thought that there has also been for the middle school and how that reopening plan will roll out? Because as we know, elementary grades obviously have one homeroom normally, but in contrast to middle schools who have multiple classes, passing periods, I know that a lot of our conversation has to do with our elementaries, but I just want to either give you an opportunity to reaffirm or further clarify that enough attention has been paid to how we'll also phase opening up our middle school.
We need to get concrete numbers from our middle school families in order for us to make that decision. And so I would like to phase in the middle school towards the end of those dates that we provided, that I think I'm still sharing, aren't I? Yeah, so if you see the phase start dates, I'm sorry, I should have stopped sharing. If you see the phase start dates, April 12th through May 5th, we'll in our next agenda item address the proposals that would start April 12th. But I would like to propose that the middle school phase in towards the latter end of those dates, because we're asking families to submit their response by April 5th officially. Then we will be able to know how many middle school students are requesting to come back to determine if we have volunteer staff to be able to do so. Not if we have if there are staff who volunteer, or if there's staff that we need to require to ask to come back. And it is more complicated, but we need to do the complicated to meet the needs of students. But we want to minimize disruption. But to your point exactly, Anna Maria, Trustee Polito, we still need to plan it out. Nicole Sullivan, the teacher, said we still need to work it out, but that's what we do. That's our job.
Thank you.
We'll figure it out.
Thank
Through the
you.
chair, we have another speaker, Carmen Solis.
Thank you.
And Ms. Solis, you are promoted to speak.
Yeah, Carmen Solis, Belhaven, TK teacher. I'm really proud to be teaching distance learning. I just want to share my situation, my reality with my students. I have had high attendance and high level of engagement, and my students are making progress. I had meetings with all my parents. All of them are happy and seeing the progress from their kids. And also I have my pace, my class has rhythm, and I'm happy doing distance learning because it is working very well. And if I go back to school, I was thinking, it will take me time to set up the same environment, the same educational environment in the classroom. And after a few more weeks, then the school year will be getting over. So I have just a question, what's the point to go back? Because it is going to be kind of in some ways, a stop what I'm doing now through distance learning, because all of us are doing good. The attendance and the level of engagement is working very well. And if my class go back to school, if we go back, I wonder if it will continue, or maybe it will take me time to recover the environment that prevails in my class at this time. But I'm open to go back or stay in home. But I just want to let you know, distance learning is working very well in my class. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I see no more speakers. I will go to the board. I see nods. So I will open the floor.
When you say open the floor, are you asking for discussion again, or are you entertaining a motion for approval?
Entertaining a motion.
I move to approve item 8, consideration to approve reopening school district-wide for all students at Ravenswood City School District.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Can you come back to me?
Vice President Shibomegi,
I have a question. Can we pause it? I'm sorry. Are we not? No, sorry, Trustee Polito. No one wants to talk about anything else? We're good. I know we talked about it for 2 hours on Tuesday. I just want to make sure.
Through the chair, that I really want to see how we can make the middle school work. I'm happy with the elementary reopening plans. I am confident that our teachers will be able to work out the best way to meet the needs of everybody's staff, family, and students. Middle school, I'm still, that's where my concern is in the middle school.
Sorry, Trustee Alexander, for interrupting you. We were in the middle of roll call, but if we want to go back, we can have brief discussion if discussion's needed.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, because we went right into the motion, which I feel like the motion's still on the floor, like we got that passed, but I didn't know if any more discussion, because we just jumped right in. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, we can, if there's discussion that, yes, we can have discussion now. We will table the current motion and go back into discussion, because I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything earlier, but if there's still things that you want to discuss in this item, we can discuss it before we move forward.
Yeah, I think through the chair, if I can, and I think your table on your vote sparked me to be like, do we need to talk about it some more before we go into the vote? So sorry, President Latu. But I did want to respond a little bit, right? Because I don't know if everyone heard us on Tuesday, which I don't think we should have a big old discussion. We already had it, unless somehow our minds have sort of changed. But I just, from my point of view as a trustee, I don't want it ever to come off that, oh, people are talking and concerned and I'm just voting regardless. So I just wanted to quickly say, sorry to hold up the vote again, but I think all of us share here on this board a responsibility to our community, students, families, staff, and then the people in our community and neighborhoods. And I think this has been a challenging time for all of us. And I think who knows what the right decision is? Is it stay closed? Is it to reopen? We don't know, but I know we have a responsibility to all families, those who want to stay home, those who want to come back. And I think right now, the situation we're in, if we don't reopen, we're not fully meeting the needs of all the families we serve. So I just want to clarify why I'll be voting the way I am, because I think by reopening, we are providing more options to fully serve all the desires of the district. We'll have options for folks who want to stay home, want to clarify that no family is being forced to come back. But then we'll also have options for those who do want to come back. We'll have staff available to service those students and serve those students. So just wanted to clarify that. Sorry to hold up the vote. And that's all I have to say.
No worries, Vice President Chibomihane. Thank you for that update in those comments. Trustee Alexander, do you have anything else that you wanted to add? So we will.
Can I just add some? So a few things that I just want to say is, one, to address the middle school thing, I think that us being able, we have 4 very different schools in our district. And I think that the idea that each school gets to figure out what is best for their school and how to come back, which volunteer teachers are going to work, all of that I agree with 100%, because what works for my daughter at Los Robles Ronald McNair may not work for what kindergartners at Belhaven works for. But I also, want to say that exactly what Trustee Chibomihane said, right? We need to be able to meet the needs of all the kids in our district. And there are kids in our district, K through 8, that want to come back and have not been able to. They have not been able to find a spot in our learning hubs because there's not enough seats right now. But at the same time, I also want to say this is not brand new, right? We've had so many students on campus in the learning hubs. We've had so many teachers involved, administration involved, staff involved. So there are protocols and things that are already taken into considerations and plans being made in order for these things to happen safely. I also want to note, in the midst of being open, those learning hubs being open from, I believe, from the start of school, right, up until now, and my daughter joined a little bit after the school started, there hasn't been spread within the pods. So within the classrooms, kids have not been giving COVID to each other. Most of the spread has been happening outside in the community, and then they are not able to come back to the pod, or a pod is closed down because students have tested positive before they've been back in the pod. So I think that we also need to keep that in mind, that safety protocols have been in place, they have been followed, and they have been keeping families and kids safe. Again, I think that Trustee Polito said on Tuesday, we have been conservative to some extent, but I think that conservativeness to reopen our district has given us the opportunity to make sure these safety protocols are 100% amazing, and to give our teachers the ability and options for vaccines so that they can have that extra layer of protection. And so we've been conservative because we've been safe, and because we want to give teachers the opportunity to feel as safe as they can. The other thing I want to say is, with all of this, I trust the administration and the teachers at each school to do what is best for their schools and their employees and their kids. As a wife of a middle school teacher, not in Ravenswood, he's back now teaching kids, and it has been 100% better for those kids that are there in person, even at the lowest bar. And I said this on Tuesday, right? The lowest bar, which is Zoom in the room, right? Just being able to be in the room has increased their ability to learn. And so I think that we have to keep that in mind too. Yes, there are some kids with this is amazing. Distance learning has increased GPA. I agree with that. And we are not taking that opportunity away from those kids. What we're giving is the kids who are not showing up the opportunity to show up and say, we're great, right? These are kids who didn't turn in anything, right? And now have been in class for maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and have produced everything that they have not produced. And these are also kids that are not, in the highest bracket. They're the low income minorities who go to this specific school, right? So I want to say, I don't want those kids to be further left behind. I want them to have the opportunity to engage. So I know we're saying like, it's only 6 weeks left, or it's only 2 months left, whatever it is. But I would say 2 months for those kids is so important, right? So important. That is not trivial. And to be in the classroom for those 2 months, if that is going to benefit, even if it's just 2 kids, if it's only going to benefit 2 kids, it's worth it, in my opinion. And I want to be able to give those kids and those families who want to come back and have not been able to, I want to give them an opportunity to get that experience. And so that is why I will be voting the way that I vote.
Through the chair.
Superintendent Sidoria.
Our parents didn't have a choice to be able to come back since March 13th, 2020. We are now in a position to be able to safely give them an option. And we can make an anti-racist decision to provide an opportunity for those families who do want to return. We did not have that option in the fall. We didn't have that option before we went to winter break. And we were even questioning in January. Now it's clear. The conditions are allowing us to be able to create an option for families that did not have that choice, who needed that and prefer it, and those kids who would benefit. So I encourage the board to make an anti-racist decision tonight around reopening school for all students in the district.
Thank you. So with the motion that's on the floor, that was brought by Anna and second by, I believe it was Trustee Polito, and second by Trustee Bloom. And we will go back to roll call.
President Latu.
Sorry, can you come back to me at the end, please?
Vice President Shabomahin.
Aye.
Trustee Alexander.
Aye. And I really, really look forward to seeing a very, very good middle school plan, creative, really looking forward to it.
Trustee Polito.
100% yes.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
President Latu.
I have good faith in our staff, and this is super hard for me because I've been on the fence up until this moment. But I will be very on top of the safety restrictions when it comes to our schools. So I will vote yes. Aye. So the motion carries 5-0 to reopen the proposal to bring, the reopening of our schools district-wide carries 5-0. Thank you. So we will move on to item 8A, which at the beginning of the meeting, we had swapped 8B and 8A in order.
Yes, and we can assure you that we will continue to work with staff to make sure that when we reopen in a phased-in process, that we will take all things into consideration. More importantly, the guidance that's within the county health and state health department. We would like to present to you proposals that will demonstrate what the first phase-in model will look like for April 12th. And so I'd like Anne Roy, who is our pandemic response effort coordinator, to present the proposals from the 3 schools.
Great, thank you, Gina. So the next slide is just, we wanted to start off with a quick update and a reminder that the Castaño School, based on board guidance, has officially reopened. And they were on pace to bring back they were intending to bring back 5 classes on the 12th of April, and then 8 or more classes after that. They're actually on pace to bring 7 classes back on April 12th. So up from 5. They're actually, a couple more classes are ready to go. So just a quick update that everything seems to be going very well right now, with the 3 Castaño classes already on campus, the TKK in 3rd, as well as the 2 unique learners classes that have been bringing students on board. And there is lots of planning and preparation going on right now. Stickers abound on the floors, lots of detailed planning about entrance, egress, flow of traffic. They've had some of the 3rd graders practicing the flow of traffic around campus to make sure it was logical, both for staff and students. So there's been a lot of testing and troubleshooting the little details, and that we would anticipate to learn from those as they roll out at other schools, and also to really give us time to fine tune them. As said, excited to bring back even a couple more classes earlier than had originally planned. And that's a testament to the planning and effort of the teachers and staff at the Castaño School. So kudos to them. The next slide is just a quick preview. We have had a number of teachers across the district develop plans over the last 2 weeks to bring their students back to campus. So since that last board meeting, teachers at all 3 of the other schools other than Castaño, well, Castaño's been working, the other 3 teachers have also been hard at work. Other 3 schools teachers have also been hard at work, bringing plans to bring kids back. We discussed these proposals with the School Improvement Working Group on Tuesday, who gave feedback. And just generally, we're going to go next into some detail about each of those the 3 schools' plans. And just as context, they're largely aligned with the models that we had described on Tuesday in the study session. So first, Belhaven. So we have 5 classes that are ready to come back on April 12th. They are primarily planning to use a hybrid flex model. These would be 5 classes across grades 1 through 4. And the hybrid flex model, true reminder, is similar to the model that's been it's the model that's being used at Castaño right now, which is where teachers are teaching simultaneously to the kids in the class, the roomies, as well as the kids that are attending through distance learning. And most students will come back 4 days a week. So they are planning to keep Wednesday all virtual, which is also a minimum day for them. So it allows some planning time. And they're still confirming the student numbers. They're reaching out to families, and we're obviously connecting to confirm those numbers. If it's too many students to fit safely, you might have to move to splitting groups and coming 2 days per week in 2 separate groups. However, given the new state guidance around 3 feet and the large classroom sizes that we generally have at Ravenswood, we don't anticipate space being as much of a constraint in most classes, but we'll attend to that carefully to make sure we're keeping things safe. 1st and 3rd grade are envisioning a half-day model where kids would be coming in the morning, in person in the morning, and the teacher would teach both in-person kids and the kids at home at the same time. And then everyone would be distanced in the afternoon. And at 2nd and 4th grade, they're envisioning a full day model where the kids would stay in person the whole day. So and they are looking to start on Monday, April 12th. So that's the plan at Belhaven. So moving on to Los Robles. They are ready to bring 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grade back, and they are looking at Tuesday, April 13th is their start date. And grade 4 is almost there. They have a plan, but they want to tweak it a little bit before they're ready. So they don't want to push that for April 12th. They want to give it just a little bit more time to fully cook. Most of these would be in a half-day model. So you remember when we talked on Tuesday about the hybrid flex model, we also talked about another option being a half-day model where teachers would teach everyone distance for half the day and then would teach in person, some students exclusively live in person instead of teaching students in person and Zoom at the same time. So that is that's the model that they're looking at in Los Robles. So a reminder, kinder students at Los Robles are already on campus in learning hubs, getting hours of push-in instruction from Ms. Cuellar already, and that has been going successfully. And now the rest of the grade levels are ready to move in. So the model at this half-day model is, to be clear, they're going to continue to have both the kids at home and the kids in school get their core content instruction via distance learning at the same time. So they're not disrupting they feel like they've got a good rhythm where things are going well with this core content. And they want to keep that going in that same model. But what they then want to do is give the opportunity for kids that want to come on campus to come on for several hours during the day. And during that time, it's a time when the kids at home would be shifting to doing asynchronous learning. And when the kids come on campus, the teacher would take that opportunity of in-person time to do some really creative and things with the students that can only really be done in person. And they're taking a particular focus in this on relationships and community, on social emotional learning and wellness, and on building enduring learning habits and mindsets. Kids haven't been in campus for a year. There's a lot of work to be done and a lot of dimensions of work to be done that they want to augment and add on to the core content that students are getting through distant learning. Also, in terms of safety, they're planning to do most of these classes outside in tents in person, and that allows them both to not disrupt existing learning hubs or other classroom setups, and also frankly, it's just good to get kids outside. Fresh air is good, as well as helps with ventilation, et cetera. So they're currently planning for either 2 or 4 days a week. And some of that will depend a bit as we confirm the number of students. Again, we need to then would help confirm the model that they'll be following in terms of number of days per week that students can come in. And just as a side note, first grade has is planning full days in person, but have students come in 2 days a week during the week. So it's a similar model. As you can see, that it's the similar idea is that about half the time you're in person and the other time you're doing synchronous learning together with in person, and everyone's doing everything via distance. At Los Robles, they've been able to tweak it and adjust that, thinking about, do we think about time as being a half day during the day, or do we think about it during days during the week? And I'll add that the Los Robles team has really taken parent feedback and input into consideration when they've crafted these models at each of their grade levels. And so Principal Quesada has expressed that they want to start and meet families where they are and what families want. And then as they see that moving, if there are ways to expand the time on campus, expand the number of students on campus, they really want to be able to be flexible and meet the needs of their families. And so again, that would be starting on April 13th. So the next proposal is for CCRMS. And the specific proposal for CCRMS is to start with the 6th grade students with mild to moderate special needs. And they're thinking about approaching this from a Learning Hub Plus model for these students in 6th grade. So the 2 6th grade special education teachers really teamed up to propose an opportunity to bring their students back on campus in a model to make sure they're getting an on-campus experience and some direct instruction from them. So these 24 students are in general ed classes most of the day, but they do receive some direct special education instruction and support every day. And this proposal would bring all but 3 of those students back on campus. This is based on their conversations with families, that 21 of the 24 students were interested in coming back on campus. And they come back on campus 4 days a week. Note at the middle school, Monday has a very different schedule, and most of the students are asynchronous for that day. So they want to focus on the Tuesday through Friday time period for when they bring kids on campus. Students would be on campus all day from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they'd get live in-person instruction from their teachers in the morning. And the students, those 3 students that are in distance learning, would be served through a hybrid flex model. So during that time when the students are on campus in the morning, the teachers would be teaching the kids that are in front of them, and also those 3 kids that are remote. And then after their direct instruction time is over, they would actually shift into new BGCP learning hubs from 11:45 till 3 p.m. So they could stay on campus and have a supportive environment on campus while they do their other core content classes that their other classes with just a variety of different students within the school. So they would stay in their learning hubs in the afternoon, giving the kids an all day on campus, 4 days a week experience. And they were planning to launch that on Tuesday, April 20th. So those are the, so those are the summary of the classes. I think the next slide just kind of gives a quick roll up of those three, the school proposals, and be happy to take questions or clarification. And I believe that the principals are also on standby to answer direct or detailed questions. I'll also note, especially the folks that were the board members who were on the school improvement working group on Tuesday, know that there is a lot of detail behind these. I have shared the high level synthesis, but we spent almost 2 hours going in much more detail about what these different proposals will be and got some good feedback around that. So I don't want to imply that there's, I don't want to underestimate the amount of work and detail that's gone into each of these plans. But I'd like to, if that's okay, open it up for questions and discussion.
I don't, through the chair.
Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, excuse me. Thank you so much. And thank you for that presentation, Ms. Roy. I don't have many questions just yet. I do have a concern, which I've already voiced to the superintendent, but just being transparent about it. You mentioned the new guidance around, you're not needing to be 6 feet apart, but now 3 feet apart. And while I do understand that you can serve more students if they're 3 feet apart, I'm not sure I'm personally ready to go there, particularly because, there's some questions still around ventilation, and I know we've addressed it a bit, and I know it's cool. I just don't know if we're ready for pushing more people together. I don't know. And I'm wondering, what is the plan? Is the plan, once the county goes with the state for 3 feet, that's what we're going to do also? But I do have a concern about that. And I wish that we could say 6 feet of distance between folks, but let y'all do the micro detailing. You want to talk about that a bit?
I think when it comes to the safety and facilities, that's a conversation that we will be having with RTA in general anyways, as we look at negotiations. But we do want to make sure that we follow all the county health and state guidelines. So if it is safe to be able to do the 3 feet, and I don't see why we would not do that, especially if wearing a mask and being 3 feet away does not, the science says that 3 feet wearing a mask, you will not get COVID any more than if you were 6 feet away with a mask.
And I'll add as well that this is specifically for students. So this is an important distinction, that the staff, adults, are still staying 6 feet away from students, from other staff, and that would not be changing. The CDC and the state haven't changed that guidance either. This is specifically about students based on not just the Massachusetts study with the 500,000 students, but also studies in a couple other states. The Massachusetts one is just the one that's getting the most notice. And so I think that's important to note that distinction, because otherwise it can seem a little confusing, because we are still as adults hearing the guidance to stay 6 feet apart. And so some of the reasons that we're hearing on why it's different for children is, one, they're just, a lot of them are smaller and have smaller lung capacity. When they sneeze or breathe, it tends to go down instead of out. But mostly it seems that the masks are quite effective, and that the difference in spread from 3 feet past your mask to 6 feet past your mask is just not that much, and apparently not enough to cause an increased risk of spreading COVID. So this is where we would lean to, as Ms. Sidaria said, Superintendent Sidaria said, we look to the county and the state to give us guidance on that.
I would prefer to be as cautious as possible, given the number of students that will be in the classrooms. My preference would be to go the extra mile in being cautious, especially because while the county might be in a tier, East Palo Alto tends to be a little bit on the higher end. So I just want to be mindful that I would rather be as cautious as possible. But at this time, I'll also open this convo. Trustee Alexander.
Through the chair, can I get just a quick clarification? The 21 students returning to campus with 2 teachers. That's across 2 classrooms, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Across 2 classrooms, yes.
So it's only 12 kids per classroom anyway.
Yeah. In this case, that would be only 12 or less, because I believe 3 have decided they would prefer to stay home. But Jen Gravum has been working very closely with the principal and with the teachers, so she might be able to clarify more.
Yes, it would be over 2 classrooms, and there would be the 2 teachers in the respective classrooms, and they would have a para in their respective classrooms also to support the kids to do the ELA plus and the math plus instruction, as well as support them when they're in their general education Zooms in the morning. Does that clarify? Trustee?
Yeah, thank you, Jen. That you actually answered both my questions.
Awesome.
And then through the chair, there are 2 speakers who wanting to talk if no more trustees want to talk.
Through the chair?
Superintendent Sidoria?
Yeah, I do want to emphasize, like, we want to be as far away as possible that we can fit as many families who do want to come back, right? And so, but if we need to, we will use the 6 feet to be able to bring our students back. Just to your point, we will be as cautious as possible, knowing the number of families that want to come back. But if more than a certain number wants to come back and we can work with 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, we will use the right feet in order to make that happen. Utilizing the furthest distance, obviously, as the first go around.
Thank you.
Thank you. So through the chair, if we want to do our first speaker.
Thank you, Trustee Alexander.
And I lost them somewhere up on my screen. Okay, the first speaker is Mr. Martin Sanders. Mr. Sanders, I'm promoting you now.
So if you wish to speak on this item, you can use the raise hand function, and you'll be granted 2 minutes to talk on the item.
Yes. So I'm one of the 6th grade teachers who has volunteered to come back. I just wanted to add some clarification to what Ann was saying. We will be in academic classes. This is for our 6th grade special ed students until 11:45, because that's when the academic classes end. Miss Dayton and I will still be meeting with students in the afternoon. We have office hours where we meet with them to work on homework, support them with homework in their other classes and their projects. And Miss Dayton will also be running reading groups as well. I just wanted to make sure that the board understands that we're not taking off at 11:45. That's kind of what it said, that we'd be with students. So it's going to be large group, whole group instruction till 11:45. After that, then we would be meeting with students in small groups, like I said, to support homework support and work on academic projects. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Through the chair, the next speaker is Ms. Nicole Sullivan. Ms. Sullivan, I am promoting you to panelist.
Hello. So I have, I guess, some questions about the 3 feet, 6 feet, and some comments. So first of all, the CDC for middle school and high school does recommend that we stay 6 feet apart in communities where transmission is high. And so since EPA is still in the purple tier, we are considered high. So at least at the middle school level, it really does need to stay at 6 feet. But also, with that being said, in the pictures that have been presented at the board meeting today and on Tuesday, we saw pictures of classrooms where teachers and staff, we're not 6 feet apart. We're not 3 feet apart. We're not 1 foot apart. So my question is, will we get training on this? Because I mean, most teachers don't stay far away from their kids in a normal year, right? Like if we're helping our students, we get right next to them, we stoop down, we touch their papers, things like that. So that's what we're used to. And even in the pictures presented, people are still doing that. So what is going to be put in place so that even staff actually stays 3 to 6 feet apart from their students? I'm not convinced that that's actually going to happen, even from the pictures. So thank you.
We can have Anne take a stab at that.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. The natural way for teachers and students to interact is not to put on a mask and stand 6 feet apart. It's not the normal way that we interact with each other or with other staff. And so it does take some behavior change and awareness and training and norming around, all right, what does this look like and when and how can we do this? I think there are a couple things that give me optimism around this. So one is that I got to tell you, a year ago, if you told me I was going to wear a mask anytime I go out of the house, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. That feels like such an imposition and so change and so strange. And now I think we all are like, oh, right, well, that's what we do. So there are a lot of things that we can get used to. And we see this with kids as well in wearing masks. And so it takes being aware of what we need to do and why we need to do it, and then practicing how to do it. So that I think leads to a lot of behavior change. And so I think that speaks to Ms. Sullivan about the need that as we're coming back, being clear about what the expectations are, what that looks like, how that might feel different, and for teachers to really acclimate, okay, well, what does that mean I might do differently? If my normal instinct is if somebody's got a problem, I'm just going to walk up right next to them and sort of interact in this way. Do I have a replacement behavior, something I could do instead? At the same time, I'd also like to say there are sort of two other things that help in this situation. So one is the benefit of the fact that all staff at this point have had either been vaccinated or had the opportunity to go out and get vaccinated. So we have a lot of our staff are vaccinated, which adds an immense layer of protection for our staff for the moments that when they do come closer to a student, there's much less likelihood that that they could themselves get infected. So vaccines, I think, are a huge game changer in this situation. And the second is that even the state guidelines and around distance from students and from each other is that 6 feet from other staff, 3 feet from other students, 3 to 6 feet from other students. But there is they make allowances for the fact that sometimes a teacher is going to want to come up next to a student and talk with them or work with them. And what they recommend is if you're doing that one, you're being thoughtful about when you're doing it and you're not doing it for extended periods of time. So for example, close contact is 15 minutes over the course of course of the day. So being thoughtful about not sort of parking yourself next to a student and really working with them for half an hour, which probably from classroom management you really won't want to do anyway. But there are ways that we can think about reducing risk as well. So we've talked about this with staff at Castaño School, for example, who are working with unique learners and have much more hand-to-hand contact or direct contact with students. And so in cases where you are going to be working more closely with students regularly, we look at things like more PPE or other sort of planning around how to manage those situations. So you raise really important points. And I think it's something that it's part of as our COVID safety plan and just bringing kids and staff back more safely. We can think about and support each other to manage a new situation.
Thank you. If we don't have any more hands and no more comments, I will open the floor. See none, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve item 8. Is it B or is it A?
No, B.
B, 8B.
I second.
You. Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Subomany,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0. As noted at the beginning of this meeting, item 9A was tabled. So we will move down to 10B.
Right, and so these are board policies. There's no action here. It's just for first reading.
Thank you for that clarification. So we will move down to 10C, which are board reports or communications.
Through the chair.
Trustee Polito.
I would just like to say thank you to the team for working really hard to get us back in school. And I know it's going to take a really heavy, big lift to contact families about communicating what their options are, and so that they're fully able to understand what they're committing to if they decide to return or if they decide to remain distance learning. And I just want to offer myself as a resource that if you need help calling families, whether it's Spanish speaking families or any family, I am making myself available, because I know that although we're sending out surveys, there's a lot of families who do better with the cold calls. So I just wanted to say that I know it's going to take a big effort, and I want to offer my availability to help make those calls.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Polito. Do we have any other?
Through the chair.
Trustee Alexander.
Again, I would also like to thank the district staff, teachers, everybody who's worked very hard. This has been a very challenging time, and thank you. I'd also like to make 2 really quick announcements. Again, happening this weekend on Saturday and at the Onetta Harris Center over in Belhaven is free COVID-19 vaccine clinic for eligible residents living in the Belhaven community. And also the baseball teams are, there's a baseball league open up now in East Palo Alto and the Belhaven area to serve all Ravenswood students who want to play baseball. And I believe that's at a park in East Palo Alto. Is it Cesar Chavez Park? I'm not remembering, but for parents.
I believe it's at MLK. My son is.
Yes. Yeah, the MLK Park. Great. So I would encourage any parents, children age 9 through 12 are eligible to play. It is completely free. And let's get out and get those boys and girls playing some sports.
Thank you. Any other updates? So I will just make note that there will be corresponding that will be sent out regarding a Mr. Steve from Aspire in regards to a peaceful protest that will be happening in action in support of our Asian community. So if you see that message coming out, look out for it. Also, spring break is starting tomorrow with Cesar Chavez Day, March 26th through April 2nd. I hope you all stay safe out there. And our next regular board meeting will be April 15th, 2021. So at 8:24 p.m., I will convene the Ravenswood City School District board meeting. Thank you all. Stay safe. Have a great night. Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cesar Chavez Day, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye, Tam. Bye.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Alman. Bye.
Thanks, Gina.